everybody, JC here with another TNI toy review, and today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to take a look at the new Marvel Infinite Series 4-inch Ultimate Spider-Man, or better known as the Miles Morales Spider-Man. And this figure comes packaged in the same style of Infinite Series packaging we've seen with all the other figures in this line. You've got the Marvel Infinite Series logo up top, the little Avengers icons below that, and then the figure clearly displayed on the card back with the name of the character down below. On the back of the packaging, we have a look at the figure, a little brief bio in multiple languages, and then a look at some of the other figures being released. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging, and this figure is basically just a repaint of the Spider-Man figure that was released back in the Marvel Universe Wave 18 assortment. Same accessory, the little webbed up backpack, and the same figure just repainted in the Ultimate Spider-Man costume. So, you know, if you've been following comic book news this past week, then you're probably familiar that Miles is actually making the move over from the Ultimate Universe, which I guess is no longer in existence after Secret Wars, and is now going to be part of the regular Marvel Universe. No, Peter Parker is not dead. I don't know if Peter is going to continue to be Spider-Man as well, but I think he's running his own company now, Parker Industries, so you know, he may be a little bit busy with that. But basically Miles somehow is, and I don't think it's been revealed how he ended up in the regular Marvel Universe, but I'm sure it has will have something to do with Secret Wars. And he's now going to have a new title just simply called Spider-Man. And he's also apparently going to be joining the Avengers, because he's also just announced today, looks like it's going to be part of the all-new, all-different Avengers. Which makes up, the team looks like is going to be made up of Iron Man, which I believe is still Tony Stark, the female Thor, which is Jane Foster, the Falcon Captain America, the Miss Marvel, which is that girl, and Vision, I believe, were the members of that new team. So, you know, big things are happening for Miles here. So, you know, right off the bat, we're getting a new figure of him. So this figure, even though it is, you know, in this new assortment, you know, because it's a repaint of an old Marvel Universe figure, it does actually have pretty good articulation, which I'll go over in just a minute. The paint applications on this figure are pretty solid. Actually, you know, especially compared to the Armored Daredevil we looked at yesterday, you know, really no paint errors on this figure. I like the web work that they've done on the figure, the red webbing on the black. It looks really good. No real blemishes or anything like that. So this the paint applications on this figure are pretty strong. So no complaints there. This is actually a pretty good figure. You know, because they're, you know, again, it's a repaint of an old Marvel Universe figure. We've got the good articulation and everything. So if you're a fan of the Ultimate Spider-Man, then I think you'll definitely want to pick this one up, because it is a very solid figure all around. So other nice details on the figure. So first of all, he's got one hand sculpted with a web shooting pose, and then the other hand is just sculpted to like hold his little web backpack. But I really like the detail on his hands. You can see on his fingers, he's got the little red fingers with the webbing on it, and again, even on the tiny little pinky finger, it's pretty nice detail with the webbing. So I'm really impressed with the paint applications on this figure. I also like the silver metallic on the eyes. Now he does have a little bit of a red splotch on one of his eyes. It's not that major of a deal, but just want to point that out. And then even on like the accessory, this web backpack, which again is, you know, from that Spider-Man Wave 18 Marvel Universe figure. But the detailing on the web backpack is pretty nice. Some wash work on the webbing, and you got the camera webbed in there, and some clothes and other things. So, you know, overall very nice detailing with that. So the figure stands just a little bit over 4 inches tall. Now here he is. I don't have that Wave 18 Spider-Man. I never picked that one up. I still just use the first Spider-Man figure released in the Marvel Universe line. And Miles, you know, they're about the same height. This Spider-Man figure is maybe a little bit on the short side, but for the most part these figures are the same height. I honestly, I've never really read the Ultimate Spider-Man or any of the Ultimate comics, so I know Miles is a younger kid, but I don't know, is he supposed to be significantly like shorter than Spider-Man? Since he's a young kid, I would almost think he is. So this figure might be a little bit on the tall side, but I won't swear to that since I'm not that familiar with the character in the comics. Okay, so articulation on this figure is pretty good for the most part. It maybe could use a few places where it could use a little added articulation just because it's Spider-Man, who's a highly agile character. But definitely compared to like most of the other modern figures in the recent waves of Marvel Infinite series, the articulation is decent on this figure. So the head is just on a ball joint, so he can look left and right, but he doesn't really have any up or down movement. A hinge joint on the neck would have maybe been nice just so you could have some up movement for web poses. The arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joints at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out good, and he's got good rotation at the arm. He's got a bicep swivel, he's got a single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow pretty good, and then he's got a swivel at the glove cuff, so not quite at the wrist. He does not have any hinges on his wrist, which again would have been kind of nice for Spider-Man. He's got an ab crunch joint, so he can look down a bit and he can look back, and you can kind of pivot to the left and the right, and he's got rotation there at the midsection. He's also got a waist swivel. Legs are attached with ball joints, so he can do the splits about that much, and he can get his leg forward good, and he can do his leg back pretty good as well. He does not have a thigh swivel, but he has double jointed knees, so he's good bending at the knee. And then he has swivel and a hinge at the ankle. He does not have ankle pivots though. So that again is a little bit disappointing. So like I said, for Spider-Man, a few extra points of articulation probably would have been nice, but compared to the other figures in this wave, the newer sculpted figures, he's definitely got much better articulation. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I like this figure. I really like the paint applications on this figure. They did a really nice job on this one, especially with the web design on the upper part of the body and on the back. So I really like that about this figure. Articulation isn't too bad, especially compared to the more modern sculpts that we're seeing in this line. A few extra points of articulation would have been nice for a character like Spider-Man, but still overall it's not too bad. This is definitely just a repaint of an old Marvel Universe figure, so if you have that figure, you know what to expect with this one. But I definitely think if you're a fan of this character, and we're definitely going to be seeing this character much more in the comic books, that you'll want to add this one to your collection. So this figure, along with the rest of the wave, and this is part of the second wave of Marvel Infinite series figures for this year, are starting to hit shelves. So if you want to add it to your collection, start looking now. We'll have a full gallery of images of the figure over at marvelousnews.com. There's a link in the description below for that. And as always, we ask, leave a comment, let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.